Hey, welcome guys. In this video, I'm doing a review of the mirroring tool, AirTame. Like you can see, the unit is incredibly small in my hand. There's a port for HDMI connection to your TV or monitor, a port for power, which has a 3-foot power cord out of the box, a factory reset button, as well as an Ethernet port for that sold separately Ethernet adapter. Overall, it's incredibly compact and easy to hide away behind a TV, for example. So it's one thing I did confirm with the AirTame team is that their cloud solution for the console, if it were ever go down, it will not impact your mirroring solution. That is purely dependent on your own network. So I want to do something a little interesting with you guys. I figure that if I'm going to display the AirTame, I might as well mirror my screen and the console settings at the same time. And as I'm speaking, you guys can take note for yourself if you notice a lag in the mouse movement, which I think is the best way to demonstrate for this for you guys. So I'll explain, you'll understand a little bit more when I get into it. So here, basically the idea is you have your device on the TV and it tells you which IP address to connect to. Now the information at the bottom left is very minimal because I set it to minimal, but we're going to change it to a larger view. So I'm going to start mirroring my laptop and you're going to see the console. So the idea here is that the AirTame app installed on your computer resides in the taskbar menu here. And of course, you would have a whole bunch of meeting rooms or displays listed down here if you had them. Right now, I only have one and I call it Babbling Boolean. You can click the star to favorite it, and that's pretty much it. So if I wanted to project audio, if for some reason I want to present a video to everyone in that meeting room, for example, and I need to include audio, you can do that by clicking it here. It will include a 1-second buffer delay on purpose because there's a slight delay between mirroring. I mean, mirroring technology is never perfect. You can actually fiddle with the settings of the AirTame unit itself from here. If I wasn't mirroring, this would have like a settings menu. And from there, you can mess around with the name of the unit, if you want to sync it with your cloud console, which is behind here or not. But you can lock it down from the console. You can make it so that if a user tries to do that, they have to enter your administrator password, which is pretty cool for, say, IT admins in a large enterprise business. The idea here is that the second you buy AirTame, you have access to this cloud console. It's cloud-based, and it's included with the price of purchasing the unit. So you have access to this console lifetime as long as you have the unit. You can add additional units, you can create groups. For example, let's say I have an office in Toronto with 10 meeting rooms, and I create another group in New York, our other office with 15 office meeting rooms. You can do that. So you'll have a Toronto group and a New York group with all the meeting rooms down below. If I were to select this, you can edit, reboot, or update. So the cool thing here, again, is if you're on the same VLAN network in the Toronto office as New York, if I'm working at a Toronto, I can update all the New York units remotely from this cloud console. I don't have to actually visit the office to do it, which is pretty cool. And you can mass select multiple units if you had them available, but I only have one. You can reboot them if you need to, and you can mass edit or edit a single unit. So let's edit it. Close that. So from here, you can edit the name of the device, the home screen overlay. So this is what I was showing you at the earlier, where the guide was very minimal to display what I'm talking about. So this is what I mean. This is what's going to tell your clients, for example, if they're visiting your office, how to connect to your AirTame. It tells you got to connect to this particular network, download the app from this URL, and from there, you're going to choose your meeting room, for example, called Babbling Boolean, or you can type in the direct IP address if you want. Now, the information where it says the Wi-Fi name, and the text for the meeting room name, for example, you can customize that text. You can put whatever you want. So you can tell users additional information if need be. So the idea behind the pin is, let's say you have a giant client meeting happening, very important, and someone sitting at their desk on the other side of the building accidentally projects their screen to your client TV meeting room. That's a big problem. So the idea behind the pin is that in order to connect to the meeting room TV AirTame, you need to enter the pin, and the pin is only visible on the TV you're trying to connect to. So only people in that meeting room can see which pin you have to enter to mirror their device, which is pretty cool. Password protection, this is where you can enable a password. So remember I was saying that from the AirTame list, users can select it and modify the settings from here. Again, this is mainly for IT administrators. If you want to lock down those settings and you can force the user to enter a password to modify the settings, this is where you would apply it from. So here's something to take in consideration. For large enterprises, you might have a guest external network for clients and a special hidden network for your internal employees. How do both of them connect to the AirTame? Because the AirTame has to be on one network, right? And both of them are separate networks. AirTame has the ability to, let's say, reside on the external guest network so clients can connect to it, but also connect to your VLAN network so your internal employees can connect to it. Remember, this does not support Chromecast mirroring. It is not a Chromecast device. This is strictly a screen mirroring device designed primarily for businesses if you want to show your Excel sheet or reports or whatever. It does support mirroring from macOS devices as well as iOS devices using AirPlay. It does only mirror pictures currently as of this date from Android devices, but there is a possibility of increasing the capability, which AirTame is still working on. But right now you can only project pictures, for example, from an Android device. So if we were to go to home screen, which is in beta, it says beta because it's public beta. It's free to use right now, but when it does become stable, you have to pay to use this service on an annual based fee. We don't know what that cost is yet, but it will happen. And that text I was telling you guys about earlier, you can modify some of the text here if you would like. So the idea here is if I were to say something called unsplash, it'll rotate the home screen pictures every X amount of seconds. So the category I chose is space. You guys saw a whole bunch of space pictures earlier. That's why. If I want to switch apps, there are currently some available. So I can display an image. I can display a website URL. There is a one huge caveat here. Huge problem, in my opinion, is that let's say you're using an internal tool in your company and you want to display your department statistics for anyone that walks by. If it requires a username and password to log in and view that page, you cannot do that. There's no option to enter username and password if the website were to prompt you for that. This has to be a public URL, which is rather unfortunate. Hopefully that's something they might modify in the future. You can choose the background color, the text color, and of course the orientation of the entire screen. Is it going to be landscape, portrait, maybe have like a vertical screen, for example. And of course, you can always switch to different apps. There's different options, there's like World Clock, Google Slides, Trello. The idea is that they said that when it's becomes stable, they will definitely look into adding additional services and apps. That list, they plan to make it keep growing. Team is just basically we're going to list all your users. So again, this is more great for IT teams where you can delegate administrator access to your IT members. And of course, user is your cloud account here. This is actually your cloud account information. And of course, if you want to sign out of the page, if you would like to. I disconnected the entire Wi-Fi network just to see what would happen. And of course, AirTame froze and my laptop lost internet. So I reconnected it, my Wi-Fi connected pretty quickly. The AirTame was still frozen. When it came back up, it was displaying the screen on how to connect to the AirTame unit. And from the computer, I keep trying to connect, but it would still say it's being in use, even though it actually wasn't being in use. And it took about 2-3 minutes before the AirTame unit realized that, hey, I can now allow devices to reconnect, and I was able to reconnect with my laptop. So in this example, I'm displaying my YouTube video on the Dell XPS review, and what I wanted to do is show you the delay. Well, that's something I want to demonstrate. So what I'm going to do is announce through the audio when I'm going to fast forward so you guys can see how long it's going to take for delays. So I'm about to fast forward right now. And you noticed it's probably like a 1/4 second delay. So let's do that again. Let's fast forward one more time. Right now. That was almost instant that time. So if you're looking for an ideal mirroring solution for your Windows, macOS, or iOS device, AirTame is probably the best bang for buck unit you can get. Now there are some much cheaper units and manufacturer devices available on the market, but they're really cheap. They perform horribly. They have no real controls. This is the unit if you're running a business, especially enterprise businesses that might have a full IT team that want to control it from the back end with the administrator console settings. This is probably the thing to get. Definitely worth checking out if you guys found this video useful. Be sure to check out my social links in the video description. Hit that like button, it does help. Subscribe, and thanks for watching.